firstly, we would like to intro our group mates. So first presenter is me myself, Auni Aqilah binti Muhammad Asri 201077. Second presenter, Divaashni Kannan 200743, and third presenter Shashini Nair R.Sivakumar 200334. Okay, so 1 in 6 people in the United States each year will sick due to foodborne illness, and from this it affects approximately $77 billion for the economic loss. So we could say that just from a small matter like foodborne illness, it could give a great impact such economic loss. So here we are today. So globally, it might affect the economic loss, but we try to small our scope to university level, which mean by student. It could give a really great impact for them as well. So here we are today to present our presentation on how university student would avoid foodborne illness. As we, students from Bachelor in Science, Nutrition and Community Health, so today we would like to present using our information and knowledge that we get throughout our studies. So today's presentation is divided into 3 sections. First one is an introduction part. Second one is 4 ways that we would present, and last part is the conclusion part. So 4 ways that we will present today are: first one, preventing buying college food; second one, practice food hygiene; third one, proper holding of food items; and last one, correct way of cooking. So let's start to introduction part. So when we when you listen about foodborne illness, what will be your first thought about this? So foodborne illness is a health condition that related to contaminated food item. We consuming contaminated food item. So why it is very important in university student? It's very important because it will affect their studies, quality in studies, and their lifestyle. So let's move on to the first point. What university students can do in order to avoid foodborne illness is they can prevent themselves from buying college food. Why I said so? Because when we prepare our own food, we know what we put in our meal, and that is very great because we could control the hygiene, we could control the ingredients that we put in it. And there are study shows by A. John Hopkins Bromberg School of Public Research saying that person who prepared their food by themselves will get a better meal instead of compared to person who did not cook by themselves. So it really shows that it's very important for university students to cooking or preparing their food instead of buying it in college cafe. So secondly, we could say that most of the college food is openly displayed and it is surrounded by flies. And like such example, if flies is land on our food, it will squeeze out the enzyme, and it will give like virus or bacteria that spread on it, and we eat that food, and it will affect our health as we could get sick because of it. So I pass the presentation to second presenter, Divaashni.
Okay, so my point on how you can prevent foodborne illness among students is to practice good hygiene. Okay, how do you actually imply this? Practicing good hygiene is very critical to prevent contamination that will eventually lead to foodborne illness. First thing, when students, they come back from college or after using the bathroom, they need to make sure they wash their hands frequently. Okay, no matter they are going to consume the food or before cooking the food or just handling the food items, storing them in the refrigerator, all this they need to make sure that their hands are clean. You need to spend at least 2 to 3 minutes on washing your hands, especially after using the bathroom, because without realizing, we are exposed to so many bacteria all days. So we do not realize that how much bacteria and pathogens are there on our hands. So we need to make sure we use proper hand wash or sanitizer frequently before handling food items as one of the way to practice good hygiene. Second way of practicing good hygiene to prevent foodborne illness among school students will be keeping food preparation surfaces clean. Okay, this one is more to the surfaces and utensils need to be clean and also washed properly. You can actually, you're advised to use detergent and also hot water to wash your utensils like your spatula, wok, pot, anything that you, also your chop boards and everything after using for cooking preparation, and also before using for your cooking preparations. So you need to wash it, because sometimes you'll you'll not notice that there are some stains or food items that are actually sticking on the food utensil, and then you might use the same utensil for the next time, but meanwhile there'll be so many pathogens and also microorganisms that actually reproduce on that. So when you use the utensil the next time, your food gets contaminated, and then when it enters your gastrointestinal tract, it will lead to foodborne illness, and you might face diarrhea, vomiting, and so many other symptoms. So you must practice good hygiene. Students need to remember that to actually prevent foodborne illness. My next point is to proper holding of food items. Okay, this is actually quite difficult for those who live in hostel, and it's a little more convenient for those who live outside, because the first method of proper holding of food items is to have a refrigerator. So initially, we advise all of you all to cook yourself. This will prevent the foodborne illness among students. So for that, you need to own a refrigerator so you can store your leftovers, your pre-cooked, or even your raw materials for food items in refrigerator. Why do I say so? Because do you know what is actually danger zone? Danger zone is the temperature of 40 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. So in this rate, the growth of pathogens and their reproduction is at maximum. So that is why you need to store in refrigerator, so the temperature is below the danger zone and your food doesn't get contaminated, and the growth of pathogen can be minimized when you store them in the refrigerator. Second way is to separate raw and cooked items. Okay, we understand that university students are in the beginning stage of adulthood, and they have very less experience of handling food items and preparing them, but they need to be disciplined and organized to actually make correct compartments in the refrigerator to store their raw materials and cooked items. For an example, you can store your raw materials in the bottom part of refrigerator and the cooked ones at the top. Why do I say so? Is because the raw materials can actually secrete some liquid, or you can have a dripping of blood, which can contaminate the cooked items. So then it will cause cross-contamination, where the transmission of pathogens occur from the raw materials to the cooked food. And then when you consume it, it will lead to foodborne illness. So I'll pass on to Shashini.
So hi, I'll be presenting the last point, which is correct way of cooking. So in this environment where students tend to have a very packed schedule daily, they will obviously go for a simple and easy way of cooking. Although they prefer to go for the flexible and convenient way, they need to know their foods have to be cooked at the right temperature. So why you may ask that the food have to be cooked in the right temperature? This is to ensure that most of the bacteria that will lead to any illness like food poisoning, for example, from the food can be killed. Furthermore, study shows that the using of thermometer to check the internal temperature of food during the cooking process will prevent many complications. So we really suggest students to actually use temperature and check their food that they are making and make sure it reaches at least 75 degrees Celsius so that it can be safe to be consumed. So another famous way of cooking is using microwave. Microwave is so famous for being very quick and convenient, especially for university students to cook food. But it's still vital for them to know the right way actually to use microwaves to cook their food. For example, students have to make sure the food are cut evenly, and those that are thick and huge, for example, should be put towards the outside of the dish or the plate, while the thin and small one should be placed in the middle of the dish or the plate. This is to make sure that the food is cooked evenly. So this will directly bring to the point that the probability of killing all those contaminations or pathogens present in the food more higher. So I think we came to the conclusion of this presentation. So to conclude, there are many ways for university students to actually practice in their daily life in order to avoid foodborne illness. Firstly, is by preventing buying college food because it increases the food safety as we prepare the food by ourselves, and it will reduce the probability of being exposed to flies. Secondly, is by practicing good hygiene in both individual and surroundingly. Thirdly, is by knowing the proper way of holding food items by storing them in refrigerator and separating the raw and cooked items. And lastly, is by learning the correct way of cooking, which is up to 75 degrees Celsius, and knowing the way to use microwave